Hello and welcome back to another video on WD18, the Watford fan channel. We're talking to you today after another Watford win in the Championship, 2-0 win against Blackburn. Yes, Blackpool yesterday, rather, in the Premier League. Losing track with the amount of games that we've got at the moment. Another clean sheet, and here to talk it through with is Charlie Zazzera. Charlie, did you enjoy your match day experience yesterday? First of all,
Hi Sam, mate. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, brilliant day. We were lucky enough to have the hospitality experience in the gallery at the Vicarage Road. Great little space to watch the Manchester derby first. Lovely food, drink, and then Watford delivered for us. So yeah, brilliant day.
yeah, really, it was a really good day from sort of getting to the ground quite early. I don't think we really sort of knew what to expect from Watford. It was it's quite up in the air in terms of, obviously it's been 2 weeks since our last league game where we beat Norwich, which feels like so long ago. Since then we had the FA Cup game against Reading. Obviously we still got quite a few injuries. Kamara suspended. We've still also a few players coming in, so we didn't really know what to expect. And we got hammered quite heavily by Blackpool earlier in the season as well. And I think we didn't beat them as well when we played them in a friendly behind closed doors. So, Charlie, how are you feeling going into the game yesterday?
Yeah, definitely some nerves. I thought it was a big opportunity. I think we spoke on the last video that we've got Blackpool and Rotherham, our next two home games, and then we've got a really tough run. I think that includes Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom. So it was important. We are still in a big injury crisis. So I actually counted up to see what our average age was of all the players, 16 players. And we've got an average age of 23 yesterday, and that's with your Craig Cathcart, Mario Gaspar playing. So we're still a massively young, inexperienced squad. So yeah, a bit nervous, but I thought we stepped up to the plate. I thought we managed the game well. I think we do need to keep our feet on the ground a bit. It is Blackpool. I don't think they troubled us too much, but when it really counted, I thought we put our foot on the gas. Got the first goal, went on to get the second. Job done.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to come on to individuals when we do some player ratings in a bit. I know everyone's been asking for them to come back. So, yeah, Charlie and I are really looking forward to giving off our numbers for the team that played yesterday. But let's start off with that first half then. I thought Watford started the game quite well. Obviously, Ismaila Sarr hit the bar in the first 4 minutes. From where we were sat, it looked like he probably should have scored. Watching the highlights back, it looked like it was probably slightly more difficult than it actually looked at first glance. And it was quite sort of, Watford were in control. I don't think Dan Backman really had a save to make, but we really struggled to break down Blackpool. It's just our final ball really lacked. Some fans were quite frustrated at half-time. What did you make of that, Charlie?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Definitely, we were playing three at the back, and I think that's definitely, we know it's not Slavan's favoured formation. We know he likes 4-2-3-1. I think that's more out of necessity with the injuries that we've got. And I think we were in control of the game, but we found it really, really hard to break him down. An interesting bit of tactical play. Kone was really, really advanced.
It's almost like he was playing as a third attacker.
Yeah, at times it felt like it was a kind of a 3-4-3 maybe with Kone going on. And I think he's got that much quality and he can progress. I know he's only played one game, but we missed someone who could take it on the turn, run and progress the play. So I think we were really struggling to find any space, break them down. And one thing that I really, I don't know what you think, but I thought the atmosphere yesterday was pretty good. It was not rocking or anything like that. I don't know if it was because it was the Graham Taylor match day. Obviously, everyone with the scarves with a brilliant tribute before, but I thought the atmosphere was good. We were trying to get behind the boys, and we were just edging into the game. And then first half, we were kind of, like I said, couldn't break them down. And that's when I was really, really impressed at half time when Bilic made those changes.
Yeah, Bilic was proactive, and I think that's something a lot of managers have struggled with over the last few years, perhaps being a bit too reactive and not thinking ahead to potential problems. To me, it also looked like the two changes he made at half-time, he was thinking in the first half, let's keep it tight, make sure we're not losing the game for winning, happy days. If not, second half, we'll go out. He brought on Martins, he brought on João Ferreira. And we started the second half. it was again, it was sort of a similar pattern. We had glimpses. Bayo had a fantastic opportunity, and we'll touch on Bayo when we go through the player ratings. But it was the.
Where's smiling?
I'm trying to think how old now Adeyemo is. I've forgotten. Is he 17? 17. It calls for a 17-year-old to come on and score an absolutely massive goal for Watford. Charlie, I have to ask, in terms of the great moments that we've had so far this season, which we've had quite a few. There was Bayo's against Middlesbrough, the Luton game, a couple of other last-minute winners. Where does that rank for you?
It's right up there. That's why, because I know we were together and I was thinking, like, I felt like there was a good vibe around the place, and I just felt it was a good moment, obviously, with Graham Taylor. And yeah, Bayo didn't have the best game. We'll get to the ratings later. But again, really brave from Slav to make that second double sub. And he brought on Tobi Adeyemo, who, remember, he's had an unbelievable week. Monday, the youth lads beat Everton, which is a really tough game in the FA Youth Cup. I think before that, on the Saturday, he came on, didn't he, against Reading? So he's had an unbelievable week. He's come on, he's harried for the ball, he's got in positions, a couple of nice touches as well. And then that moment, I thought it was a really good ball. Martins went onto it. Maybe Martins should have scored, but it fell to Adeyemo. And to be fair, it wasn't a gimme. It wasn't an easy tap in. It was kind of behind him. He had to get on the swivel, get really good contact on it. And then it was just eruption. And yeah, watching that celebration back this morning just gave the biggest smile on my face when he's running over like that, and then he kind of realizes what's actually happened.
Yeah.
And then I just love the image when he sees Jack Greaves and they're both looking at each other, eyes so wide.
Oh my word. Yeah, no, exactly.
As a young Watford fan, like, obviously I think he's from Hackney originally, but growing up, getting that moment must have been some unbelievable feeling. So really, really pleased for him, really happened. And of course it happened on the 72nd minute, which is pretty special.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on that now, and we'll go more into sort of Adeyemo's his goal itself when we go on to the player ratings and his performance as a whole. And we'll also go on to as to perhaps what this could mean for the academy in the future. But, you know, it happened in the 72nd minute as fans were about to put their scars up to sing the Graham Taylor song, as we have done over the last 6 years since the great man's passing. But it was just a perfect moment, wasn't it? Just everything sort of seemed to fall into place at that moment. And of all people to score that goal, the fact that it was an academy player, something that Graham Taylor probably would have done himself. The fact it was Adeyemo, the celebration, it was just a perfect storm, wasn't it? In a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just that. I love the interview that the club done afterwards, and just if anyone hasn't seen that, watch that back, because you could just tell how much it means to him. And yeah, he's written himself in Watford folklore now. So I think it just proves again, I'm going to praise Bilic again, because I thought James Morris played from the start. I thought he was really, really impressive. Some nice bits on the ball. You mentioned about that Bayo chance. Morris kind of popped it over a defender's head, slid it through to Sarr, cut back, and Bayo couldn't score. So the fact that Morris has played, he's kind of been trusted. I think that's really good to kind of build that togetherness and improve the culture. Adeyemo coming on and obviously getting that special moment. And then, yeah, Jack Greaves coming on to make his debut after he scored that absolute worldie against Everton. So, yeah, it just felt like a really, really special match day yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree. And it did feel like we were in control after that. I mean, Blackpool threatened a tiny bit. There was one, I think, shot that flashed straight across the face of goal, but nothing really to bother Daniel Bachmann. And Watford were able to make it 2-0 through a penalty from Ismaila Sarr, which Mateus Martins, who looked so bright when he came on, managed to get onto a brilliant ball from Kone. And it feels amazing saying this because they're both sort of new signings and we've needed them to come in and have an instant impact. And both of them have. I'd argue Martins won us the game yesterday, to be honest with you, as well. But you know, Sarr, big questions over him taking penalties this season, even though he scored a fantastic one for Senegal in the World Cup. Crucial goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's important that you mentioned Kone in that move, because he's played an absolute delightful ball over the top that's kind of got the defence running in the other direction. Martins has anticipated. I don't know if Martins was getting control of it, but he was making the defence and the goalkeeper worrying. Obviously, he got clattered. And then it's one of those, when we win a penalty, I don't think as Watford fans we're happy, but we're not like, this isn't a gimme. So Sarr took responsibility, and yeah, he looks so assured. I think João Pedro took our last one against Reading. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think this season we've had Imran Loser took one against Norwich and missed. Sarr's obviously, I think, taken a couple. We've missed it away at West Brom. Yeah, and João Pedro had the penalty against Reading as well. So yeah, it's good to see that, you know, Sarr scoring that, and I think there were collective nerves around Vicarage Road, because it was a huge goal. I think this game, you know, it could be, I don't want to say a turning point in our season, because we've said that so many times this season, and it's about picking up form. But it just felt everything yesterday in that second half was just so perfect. Everything fell into place, and you know, Suran says it here, Bilic absolutely deserves a mention, because I think so much of that is on Slaven Bilic. With other managers in charge, I don't think perhaps we get the result. Bilic was brave, as we mentioned at the start. He was proactive. As someone who, you know, Charlie, it's your day job looking at managers and how they work, how important has Slaven Bilic been to this sort of resurgent Watford side of late?
Yeah, I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, we've actually got a top quality coach on our hands here. I love everything about him, to be honest. I love his demeanour with the media. I love his directness, his honesty. I think he's got a pretty clear identity with the 4-2-3-1. I love what he done with Sarr and Sema when he first came in, kind of put them on the other sides. But the way he's kind of managed this, and like I said, normally if we had a full strength squad, we shouldn't, not that we shouldn't celebrate, but Blackpool, we should be winning. But let's still realise that we've got 10, 12, 13 big injuries. So in the Championship, especially when you're playing these youngsters, like 19-year-olds, Kone 20, Martins, who came on, he's 19 as well. Jack Greaves, like 18, Adeyemo, 17. So the way he's managed it, like today, I agree with you, he was maybe a bit pragmatic in the first half with the back three. He wanted to be solid. He just got everything right. He brought Hamza back in, who I thought was a massive, massive plus for us. There was a point in the first half with a Blackpool player kind of cutting his right side, and Hamza just covered the ground and got the ball. So he done well. We obviously had to get Hamza off because of his load. But yeah, Bilic just looks like he's really getting into these players, and they must be looking at him now and going, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. We want to play for him. And that's that kind of togetherness we talked about. James Morris has come in, done a good shift. Do you know what I mean? Some people might not trust that, but he's let the youngsters come in. So yeah, Slaven Bilic, I'm excited to see what he can do for us.
No, of course, and just picking up on Luke's point here, before we move on to the player ratings, I know we've both mentioned the pragmatic approach in the first half and how impressed we were by in the second half, the changes he made and how proactive he was. Do you think, in hindsight, though, he got the formation wrong and the starting 11 wrong in the first half?
Yeah, potentially, but we won the game, so I don't think it's a disaster. Potentially, we could have been a bit more braver and maybe gone for the kill earlier on. Again, we went to Norwich and won with that formation, didn't we? And I think we've been defensively pretty sound. So yeah, potentially got it wrong, but you don't mind the coach being proactive, making changes if they get it wrong, changing it up and making something happen. And he had a huge impact on that game. Not only the two subs at half time, which kind of took us up a level, I thought, but again, the two subs, and I bet he's looking at Hamza Chowdhury going, I wish I can't take you off, but we can't afford to lose you to another injury. So he just got everything right. And yeah, I'm loving Slav at the moment. How are you feeling about it? And like, obviously we've had loads of managers down the years, but I'm looking at him already and thinking this is someone we can get behind. And I've seen a couple of tweets saying maybe one of the best under the Pozzos or one of their favourites. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously still early days and things can change very quickly, we know, with this Watford side. And if he's not backed in the transfer window, do you think we could perhaps see a change from him? But I'm so impressed with everything, the way he's handled every situation so far, the way he conducts himself in interviews. You know, having spoken to some people, there seems to be a clear respect for him at the club. The players seem to really, buy into what he's trying to do, whether they're playing or not playing. And I think that sort of having the dressing room like he does at the moment. And as I say, with this Watford team, we know it can change quite quickly. But I think the job he's doing is phenomenal with everything he's having to put up with. And it does beg the question, and that could be a whole other video, whether if we had Slaven Bilic from the start, and if we didn't have this injury crisis, I know it's sort of if buts and maybes, but would Watford be comfortably in the top 2 at the moment? But I'm sure we could discuss that another time.
What do you think? What do you think about? Obviously, Ben Manga did an interview with I think a German newspaper recently, and he was quite strong. Well, not strong. He was honest and said, "I think the automatic positions are gone now." And I think our friend Andrew, who's on the last video, make sure you check out that video if you haven't already. Some juicy insight. And I think Andrew asked him, "What did you make of that comment?" The fact that Ben's kind of said, which I was a bit like. Well, it's a bit confrontational. We don't want to be creating murders between the hierarchy and stuff. And I think Slaven said, no, I think we can win the championship if we're good enough. You never know what can happen. What do you make of maybe Ben Manga's comments and how Slaven reacted?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think if you're sort of being realistic, I don't think this Watford side is consistent enough to get promoted. As brilliant as it has been. We're sort of too prone to having these blips, like we've seen. We had so many clean sheets, then all of a sudden we go and lose? Was it 1-0 or 2-0 at home to Millwall, then go to Swansea and lose 4-0? And we see too much of that from this Watford side. And I think, based on the evidence that I've seen in the last few weeks, I think we've probably got enough to finish in the playoffs. But I think it's too much of a stretch, and we're also relying on Sheffield United and who's top of the league again, and Burnley as well to have some blips. So I think, if we beat them, as Ian says here, the fact that we're playing them, if we beat them, then perhaps it's a different story. But it's about consistency now. But moving on to the player ratings.
Sorry, I was just going to say, think of the psychology, like as a manager, what he's trying to do with his players. If he goes, lads, we're probably only just making playoffs. What are they thinking? They're thinking, all right, we just chill, just get there, and we'll try and do the business. Now, you've got to be on it every single game. Championship, there's games Monday or Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. Do you know what I mean? The team loses 3-0 in a row, and we're there. So I really like it from Bilic. I think it's ballsy and it sends the right message.
100%. And I'm sure, as I say, the players are definitely buying into it. But on the players, let's go on to the player ratings, which, if you want to see more player ratings, then let us know, because I know it's been requested by a lot of people recently. So bringing it back, let's start off with probably the most straightforward one. Daniel Bachmann, quiet afternoon for our Austrian goalkeeper. Didn't have too much to do. What would you give him out of 10?
7. Thought it was absolutely fine. He didn't have a lot to do, did he? I listened to From the Rookery this morning, and I think one of the guys mentioned how advanced he was from his box, which I found was quite interesting and something I kind of want to look out for. But if that's going to help us kind of when play out from the back, give the defenders a bit more license, that's an interesting point to his game if he's improving that. So, yeah, solid 7. I don't think there's much to mention unless...
Yeah, there's definitely not too much to mention. I think the only thing with him is sometimes his distribution can be a bit hit and miss, but clean sheet, back-to-back clean sheets, can't really complain. So I'd also give them a 7. Let us know in the comments what you would also give Daniel Bachmann. William Troost-Ekong, who only played the first half, again, a quiet afternoon for him. What would you go for Troost?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of kind of bits of plays done and what he did well and what he didn't do well. I think it's quite a good sign, they say, when you don't notice a defender. That means they must be having a good game. One thing I like about Troost, which maybe our other defenders don't have, is that ability to kind of be progressive with his passing, try and break lines and move it from defence to midfield. I think he tried a couple. I think he did one really well and maybe not so the other. So I thought it was pretty solid. I'd probably give him 7 as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. A quiet afternoon for Troost-Ekong. Bought off at half-time, I think it was probably for tactical reasons, wasn't it? Rather than anything that he'd done wrong.
Yeah, I think that was a Slaven. And like we said, going back to the back forward just allowed us, I think, in the midfield to have so much more space and ability to look up and find our forward players. So, yeah, I don't think he'd done anything disastrous. So, tactical thing that Slaven got right.
no, definitely. And moving on to our two centre backs who played the whole game, Francisco Sierralta, who's come back into the side and looks really good, doesn't he?
He's a weird one, Francesco. I really like him. Obviously, we all know in the air he's an absolute beast. He would header a brick if it was there. And yeah, I really like him. Do you realise he was 25? I thought he was a bit younger.
I thought he was a bit older, to be honest with you.
Really?
25 is about right then.
Yeah, I think he'd done it right. He was up against Gary Medine, and Blackpool were very physical. Like, they were going direct, and I think he won quite a lot of duels. I think sometimes his awareness, kind of when the ball's coming, when strikers making movement, he can get caught often. And I think passing could be a bit better. But I thought he did it right. Like I said, they were direct, and he had to deal with a lot of headers. So yeah, maybe it's boring again, but another 7.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with that. I think Sierralta got 7. Quiet afternoon. Dealt with Medine quite well, I thought. But someone I thought was brilliant yesterday, and probably our best defender, even though none of them had a bad game. Craig Cathcart, again, just calm, composed on the ball, shows real leadership by setting an example with the way he just gets on with his job. Goes quite under the radar still, I think. But in terms of our defenders, he's the first one on the team sheet. I personally give Craig Cathcart an 8. I don't know about you, Charlie.
Yeah, I think he was better than Truce and Sierralta. So yeah, he definitely deserves an 8. I think the word you said, composed, is one of his strengths the majority of the time. And I think sometimes he makes it look easy. I think his reading of the game is brilliant. When to kind of pass it, when to kick it out. Yeah, he's got that experience. He's got that nous. And I think another question needs to kind of be asked about where does he rank in, maybe not legendary status, but how long has he been with us? Two promotions.
Yeah.
How many appearances?
Yeah, over 2 stints now. It must be, 10 years or so of Craig Cathcart at the club. And he's very rarely let the club down in that time. I'm a huge fan of Craig. And I think it's, we could probably get another season out of him next season. But we'll have to find a replacement when he does move on, in terms of what he also brings to the dressing room as well. Moving on to the two fullbacks, Jeremy and Ngakia, who played the first half. I thought Jeremy did okay yesterday, to be honest. What did you think of him?
I thought he was good in possession when he was on the ball, trying to take his defenders on, going in field. I love his little role that he does to kind of feint his version of the Igalo scoop. Yeah, I thought he was quite direct, and I thought he did well there. I just thought out of possession, with that kind of playing as a wing back, especially when they were getting it wide, his press was always late, so he was kind of caught. But he was caught in no man's land, basically. So again, he's being asked to play right back, right wing back, like 2 totally different positions. So yeah, I'd probably give him let's be generous. We won. I'll give him a 7.
7, yeah, definitely. I agree with you with that. I mean, I thought he was quite impressive, and he's not a natural right wing back, and I think he probably got taken off at half time again, more for tactical reasons more than anything else, and also to give Ferreira a run out. But on the other side, I thought James Morris was exceptional yet again. I think, I tweeted earlier, but the key part of his game that needs working on is his crosses. I think sometimes he just loses a bit of composure and perhaps gets too excited when crossing the ball into the box or when in an attacking area. But defensively, he just looks so good, I think. And I think the question has to be said now, next week with Hassan Kamara back, do you bring Kamara back into the side, or do you persist with James Morris?
Yeah, I totally agree with you in terms of his performance. I thought his delivery can be decent. I think he's a bit hit and miss, like you said, but I think the amount of opportunities we're getting crosses is a really good, kind of shows that he's getting in the right areas. He's willing to bomb forward and backward. Like I said, for that bio miss, I thought a really good bit of skill. And I thought he was really good, kind of just getting in the tackle, making sure he was physical, like showed that fight, kind of carried on what he did for the Norwich game. So pleasing to see him get full 90 and deliver from the academy. In terms of if he should come in, I think he should keep the shirt. I think Slavan will give it to him. We know Kamara got sent off, which was very avoidable and put us in a bad position. Morris has come in and he's been pretty solid. And I think Slavan will set that example and say, look, if you come in and show the right attitude, if you're good enough, you'll keep the shirt. It doesn't matter if you're a pro, if you're an academy player. So yeah, and I think it raises the morale from within the club, connection with the fan base. I think we haven't talked about that, but I thought the fans felt slightly more connected yesterday, and that's because we've got players like James Morris coming in, giving 100% and playing well.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree. I think just having sort of the amount of youth that we had on the pitch yesterday, I think really helped with the connection. But out of 10, what would you give James Morris?
An 8.
Yeah, I'd go with an 8 as well, giving same rating as Craig Cathcart. But moving on to the 3 midfielders, we'll start off with the unnatural midfielder, Mario Gaspar, who I think, again, held his own. I mean, didn't really put a foot wrong yesterday, showed his experience. He's doing brilliantly filling in. Obviously, when we do have more options available, he's not my first option at central midfield. But again, I thought he held his own.
Yeah, Gaspar Iniesta, as I'm going to call him. I couldn't agree with you more. He's last 2 games, I thought Norwich, he was kind of a bit more dynamic and kind of really good out of possession, getting to people. But today, I think the experience was what helped us and what kind of got him to a next level for yesterday. Just knowing when to pass it, knowing when to get his foot on it. We know he's not going to turn into Etienne Capoue or someone like that overnight, but yeah, he does the simple things. And I think when we've got so many youngsters, having people like him and Cathcart just to make right decisions, put their foot on the ball when they need to, is invaluable. So he's come in and he's done superbly. And it's one of those, he got a lot of stick when he came in. Maybe he wasn't the perfect transfer, but I know Andrew French said last time that he's a really nice guy, good personality. He's come in, he's done a really good job for us. So yeah, really like what Gaspar done. I'd probably give him a 7 for yesterday's performance.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. He didn't really do too much wrong, got on with his job quite well and showed his experience. But someone who I thought he played the first 17 minutes, I thought he was really, really good. And I've been critical of this player this season, but since he's sort of come out of the team and now come back in, I realised the impact that he really has on this Watford side, and that's Hamza Chowdhury, who I thought was brilliant yesterday.
Yeah, I've thought he's been brilliant since he's come in. To be fair, he's so industrious. He's got those legs, and like it's when you're watching teams like Liverpool who kind of age and they're losing control of midfield, and everyone's like, we need legs. Obviously, I'm not saying Hamza Chowdhury is that level, but you need midfield, someone who's going to be putting out fires, running around, breaking things up. And he just added that instantly. And it brings a bit of tempo to the game. When someone's willing to get in a tackle, win it, it raises the crowd. It gets you on the front foot. I think there was one in the first half where he got in, tackled it brilliantly off of Charlie Patino. Kone won it off him, turned, slipped in Sarr. So he's kind of starting an attack from his out of possession work. So I've always liked Hamza Chowdhury. You need to give him more respect.
I think definitely I will now, though, because I have seen now with him how long was he out the side for? 5 games, 5-6 games, and I realise now sort of the big impact that he does have on this Watford side. But another good comment here from Luke. I think one of the reasons why he looked so much better yesterday was because he was next to Ismail Kone, who we'll move on to next. But having that upgrade in midfield, do you think that helps Chowdhury look even better?
Yeah, and I think Luke's bang on it. We've got a midfielder who is comfortable turning on the ball and playing forward. So when Chowdhury's he's given it to someone who's looking up, and that makes Chowdhury work so much better. He can get it, give it, and then we're up in attacking their final third. Whereas Canby might not be as progressive at that and might play too many sideways balls, and the defence can get in their shape. So it's all about picking the pace up, turning at them and getting at them, because we know our forwards are probably our strongest part of our team. So yeah, I totally agree with that comment.
Out of 10?
For Kone?
Chowdhury.
Have we given him one? I'm giving him an 8.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8 as well. But yeah, coming on to Kone, though, just a huge part, isn't he? And that role he played as well in the goal. And I'd say I think we've got a real player on our hands here. I just think it looks like such a good signing already, doesn't it?
He's 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's coming to this team after playing, 50 professional games, playing in the World Cup. Yeah, he looks mustard. He looks really, really good. I'm kind of low-key kind of excited to see what is this guy's ceiling going to be. After these 2 games, he's come in, he's looked like a 28-year-old pro who's really comfortable within his own skin, got quality on the ball, progresses up the field, wins the ball back, looking to play those passes over the top. I'm really, really excited about him. Like, we've got players like João Pedro who we're seeing filling their potential, and now like Newcastle and teams of that are looking at him for 30 million. Obviously, it's early days, and I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground with Kone, but I'm so surprised how good he's been. And if he keeps the momentum and keep the projection of what he's doing, I think he could be a really, really good player for us, and someone who I think he starts in our strongest team. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. I think probably that midfield three of Loser, Kone, and Hamza Chowdhury. I think probably when everyone's fit would be so good, and I'm just hoping we do get the opportunity to see that this season. I'd give Kone yesterday. I know probably our highest rating we've given so far is an 8. I'd give him a 9. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was so good.
Yeah, I still feel like he's got levels, and I think there was loads of times he found himself frustrated, which I felt that was a positive. I'd only give him an 8 because I saw him and maybe a couple of shots, a couple of passes didn't pull off, but I think he's just going to get better and better, and I think he could be an unbelievable signing. So, like, really, really excited to have him.
Definitely. Bakun Bayo, who we've sort of referenced at the start of the video. It's not a good look when a player's booed off. Obviously, he was walking off the pitch rather than running off when the game was still 0-0. Missed a good chance. The ball just wasn't really sticking. I felt a bit sorry for him in a way because at times in the first half, I thought he just looked a bit lost up front. I don't mind Bayo sort of as an impact player. We've seen him come on this season and score huge goals for us. For me, difficult to give him more than probably a 5.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much because I think he's had important moments for us. I'd think 5's got generous. I think maybe a 4. But with Bayo, I think especially since Slaven's come in, and one thing that we've always said, we want an identity. And I think one thing that Slaven's done, especially with Keenan Davis, is we want that focal point up front who's going to hold it up and then bring in our attacking players. And I just think when Bayo is trying to do that in his role by himself, that just doesn't play to his strengths. I think he needs to be facing the goal instead of his back to goal. I think he does his best work in the area. He's got a good leap on him. He should be running the channels. But I think him playing in that system, look, we've got no one else. I know, obviously, Tobi Adeyemo came on, and don't know about next game of who starts. But, yeah, I think he had a really tough game yesterday. I don't think we should write him off. I think the booing, it didn't look good when he's kind of strolling off. It was bad optics, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. He has done well. So I'll probably give him a 4, but I think it'd be interesting seeing how we would play with 2 up front. Maybe I don't think we'd do that because I think Slaven's got his way, but I think he'd be a lot more productive kind of playing off a striker, getting scraps, bit of movement. Similar, obviously, like the prime Dini Igalo combination when you were getting up to Dini and Igalo was working off him. So, yeah, but Bayo didn't have his best day at the office, but I definitely think he's done well for us, and I think he could play a part for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I agree here. I think he's a good bench player. I think if we need a goal for the last 5-10 minutes, then I think he's proved to be a good option off the bench, because that Norwich game scored a huge goal, albeit probably should have had a few more during the game as well. And obviously that Middlesbrough game where it was 100 years at the Vic. We've had some really special moments this season at Vicarage Road. And you know, it's quite weird because, you know, we'll come on to it at the end of the season, at the end of the video, but it feels like this Watford team really haven't hit the heights yet that we probably can. And with 3rd in the table, we've had some brilliant moments. So I think if we can, you know, have a good transfer window, I think, you know, we've got a really, really good, exciting second half of the season coming up. But the other striker, Ismaila Sarr, who, what did you make of him yesterday? Because I thought he had a really good game, and I think that penalty, you know, I thought it was a well-deserved goal for him.
Yeah, you seem like a bit hesitant there. Like, I don't know. I feel like we might disagree with the rating. I would give him a 9. I thought he was the best player on the pitch. And I think the difference between what he did yesterday to sometimes what he's done previously is kind of just not getting involved in the game. Yesterday, I felt like, I don't think he took the game by the scruff of the neck, but he thought, I'm going to be the man. I'm going to make it happen. He was going to the ball. He was winning fouls. He was gliding past people, running through in transition. I thought it was one of the best performances I've seen from Sarr. I thought he did really well. I thought he showed a bit of leadership, which we think we haven't really got, but just trying to take the game by himself. Something João Pedro's done quite often this season when he's getting on the ball. But I think from his position, he didn't just hang out right and kind of wait for it. He thought, no, I want to be the player to make the impact. I thought it was really, really good, made things happen. He should have got an assist with Bayo. He had the balls to take the penalty. Obviously, scoring in the World Cup, so scoring against Blackpool's not worried about it, but he stroked that home. And one thing that, again, I'd love to see, which everyone's got kind of this perception about him, but watch those videos of him celebrating after the game. He should, when he
was a loud scream. Oh, if you watch the video back, he's got a weird scream on him. I mean, fair play for hitting those heights. And
it's just that emotion. He does care, and he's got that big smile when he wants to. So great to see. And if we're going to get promoted, we need that Ismaila Sarr.
Definitely.
So, yeah, really pleased with him. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10.
9, brilliant. And I'd probably give him an 8. But looking at Ian's comment here, Adam Leventhal from The Athletic reported today that it's unlikely that Sarr is going to leave Watford in January. You touched on it just now, but with the injury crisis that we've got at the moment, you know, we simply have to see more of the João Pedro that we got yesterday if we've got any chance of closing in on those automatic places.
You mean Isma Sarr?
Isma.
Did you say you said João Pedro?
Did I? Yeah, Isma Sarr. That's what I meant.
Hang on, then. Yeah, Adam reporting that was good news. It says he's unlikely, but I'm looking at some of those lower league Premier League clubs: Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Leeds, even Villa. And I don't know, as the window clocks down, if there's some panicking people with some money, they might throw it at Isma Sarr. So, yeah, I think if we were to go up, we need him. And I think, like I said, we would like him to be more consistent. Let's hope after that game he's got a goal and now he can start putting consistent 7 to 9 performances each game.
Brilliant. Let's rattle through the substitutions. So at half-time, we had João Ferreira coming on for his debut. What did you make of him?
Yeah, okay. I thought really good going forward. Looked lively. Is he left-footed? I think he is, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. I think he is.
I think he's a right back. He's playing left-footed, which is a bit different, but interesting. Yeah, I thought going forward, he looks rapid. It looks exciting, pretty cool on the ball. I was just a bit worried defensively, kind of try and win headers. I think it's all that we've heard about him before he came. It pretty much summed up what we've got, and a few people have said pretty similar to Kiko Feminine. I think he's got some work to do to be as good as Kiko, but yeah, I think we need that addition. Get him in. I think I'm kind of looking, if we're getting these injuries back within, I don't know, a month and a bit, and we're having a full strength squad and we've got these backups to each things, it's going to be pretty exciting. So yeah, I think I'd give him probably a 6.
Okay, yeah, I think he started a bit shaky, I thought, and eventually grew into the game, and I thought he ended it quite well. So yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd probably give him a 6. Mateus Martins, who, as I said earlier, I thought he won Watford the match. To be honest with you, I'd give him a 9. I thought he was brilliant.
I disagree with you, Sam. Finally, we've got a disagreement. Yeah, I thought he did all right. He played. How not even just his Barnet, but the way he plays very similar to Cucho Hernandez, isn't he? Yeah. Looks tidy on the ball, electric in possession. He looked quite composed as well. There's times he was on and he was just trying to find a direct pass. So, and then when I was looking at the ages this morning, he's a 19-year-old coming over from Brazil, getting thrown into a championship match. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with him. I wouldn't give him a 9. I think there was another player who made more of an impact than him, but good run off the ball for him to have that save before the first goal, and that forward run Kone pass he's caused the second one. So he's basically got 2 assists. So really good cameo from Martins. I'm excited to see how he develops. I'd probably give him a 7.
Interesting. I mean, I think as well he probably comes straight into the side as well if he is fully up to it for next week. Yeah, I think so, particularly over. We'll come on to who perhaps starts next week up front. But I think perhaps a front three with Sarr, Martins, and either Adeyemo or Ucko and Charlie will be interesting next week in the Rotherham game. But someone who I know you're a big fan of, and when he came on, you said that this guy, could change the game, is Zazzera, and ultimately he did. He found that pass for Martins before the first goal. He was good when he came on, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought he made, apart from Sarr, he probably made one of the biggest impact. I thought he uses quality, that lad. When he gets the ball, when he's on the half turn, lovely close control, lovely balance, and I think his biggest skill is his weight of pass, his quality. We saw it against Norwich when he put that ball that Sarr had to get to eliminate the defender, and he done the same thing in this game. Got it turned, found that pocket of space. I think Sarr won the ball back, gave it to him, and he puts that beautifully weighted ball. We were shouting like, give it when Martins has run, but we were shouting early, and he waited and he got the timing perfect. Yeah, like it's mad. Like, we're in the Championship and I feel like we're playing Football Manager at times. Like, we've got these Canadian, Colombian, Brazilian wonder kids just floating around. And again, a young lad, I think, is he 18, 19?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward, again, I've said it before, but I'm looking forward to seeing if he has any kind of trajectory like João Pedro, get him in the gym. I think he could be another unbelievable talent for us. So I know the Pozzos have got a bit of stick with the recruitment, but we're reeling off Kone, Martins, like Pedro, Asprilla, some really good finds that we've picked up, and we've done well as a club to sell them Watford, and they're coming in, and I think they could have a big future. So it's exciting to watch him at Vicarage Road. I'd give him a 8.
I see. I'd probably agree with you. I think that pass was absolutely brilliant, and he played a huge role in the goal for Tobi Adeyemo. I forgot his name for a sec there. But we spoke about him quite a bit at the start of the video. But what a moment for him! What a moment at Vicarage Road. Because of the whole situation and how everything played out, I'm going to give Adeyemo a 10. I think the whole situation rises above actual performance levels there. Just the fact he got the goal, but it was one of the great Vicarage Road moments we've seen in the last few years. I just think his name is now etched into Watford folklore forever. I'm giving him a 10.
I like it. I love the sentiment. Now, he was amazing, like we said. And it wasn't just the finish, which we thought wasn't the easiest finish. He actually had bits where he's controlling it, kind of running past defenders. He pressed really well off the ball. I won't give him a 10. I'll give him a 9. But yeah, that moment, I'm just thinking, hands on the head. Anyone watching or anyone, we need to get some sort of illustration or T-shirts made of that. It's one of those iconic moments. I saw a really good thread on Twitter about the great Watford celebrations from down the years, and people talk about Helgeson in the net. But that's got to be right, like Doyley not knowing where to go. That's got to be right up there. And that's going to be, when you look back at this season, we've had some down times, but that's going to be right up there as one of the special moments.
Yeah, huge. And going on to that person you're celebrating with, difficult to give him a rating. But Jack Greaves, obviously making his league debut for Watford as well. Young boy. Hopefully we'll see a lot more from him in the future. Difficult to give him a rating, isn't it? But yeah, really glad that he got on.
Yeah, like, obviously, I think he's a great grandson of Skilly Williams. So he's got that heritage, 3 generations playing for Watford. He is a proper Watford local lad. So it must have been a great moment. He's just seen his mate score at Vicarage Road. Again, don't forget, he scored an absolute screamer in the FA Youth Cup, like one of the best goals he's ever going to score. So he was brilliant, and now he's capped off his week by coming on. And what I like about him, he's no nonsense. He'll get about, I'll let you know there. I think he clattered into someone, which was perfect. But yeah, he's a proper Watford boy, local lad, been a supporter all his life, and now he's played for the club. So yeah, well done, Jack Greaves. Congratulations.
Brilliant, yes. And let's touch on the academy then. What do you think this could mean? Not necessarily in terms of the infrastructure of the academy, but you're now going to have not just kids sort of in the academy now, but kids from Watford, from the local area. you know, that must give them such a confidence boost. Now it's sort of, now you can see there's a pathway there. I know, albeit it's come sort of through the injury crisis, but by giving these young players the opportunity, and credit again to Slaven Bilic for doing so, you know, I like to hope that perhaps, you know, this inspires more people in and around the Watford area to, you know, go and trial for Watford, and hopefully gives those within the academy that extra bit of drive as well to hopefully play for the first team one day.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I didn't even think about kind of that, but you're right. We're going to have young footballers around the Watford area, and they haven't seen any young academy player play for the first team. And when you're looking at the different teams, like your Man City with Foden, Cole Palmer, Rico Lewis, you got like Jacob Ramsey for Aston Villa, and it adds such a dimension that we touched on it earlier, but that connection with the fans, which is so important, that we felt at times we've had that disconnect for whatever reason with these players. But just seeing, and that's, again, I'm going to give credit to Slaven Bilic. He's put trust in these players when he needs to get results at the end of days, and he's done both, and he's ticked both boxes. So it's great to see, and I hope these lads get given the opportunity. I'd like to see Morris start next game. I don't know about Adeyemo for the Rotherham game, but why not? Maybe make him have a start, or definitely a bench. Give these guys opportunity, and when they deserve it. And hopefully it's just giving the academy a big boost. And like I mentioned from the Rookery, and did a podcast, and one of the teachers kind of sent a message in and just said it was one of the proudest moments. He actually brought him to tears seeing his goal, because this is one of the best group of lads he's worked with. But other lads haven't had the opportunity because there hasn't been that pathway. So to see them get this moment, it could be a tiny bit of a game changer for our academy, and it might give the hierarchy. They might think, oh, you know what, the academy, if they're given trust and we can develop players, let's give them a bit more resource. Let's put a bit more money into them and try and grow it. And I think if we're trying to improve our culture, academy is a really important thing. So yeah, I think well done to the coaches, Charlie Daniels, Omar Reza, Richard Johnson, who's gone in. So hopefully this could be the start of something, and it'd be really nice. I think it'd be really nice each match day if we're seeing these players at least on the bench and trying to come on, and let's hope for more moments like yesterday.
100%, 100%. And you know, let's hope that this is just the start of something, and it's not just something that's come about because of the injury crisis. But Watford, another win yesterday. We're third in the table somehow, and as I said earlier, we haven't really hit the height so far that we probably should have done. Do you think, you know, Andrew spoke about it the other night, do you think there's a chance that we catch Sheffield United or Burnley?
Yeah, if I'm realistic, I'd say no. I'm surprised how consistent those guys have been. I think what Vincent Kompany's done with that team, who are so young, their average age must be pretty young. They have got the experience of Jack Cork and the likes of Colin and players like that. But I've just been so impressed how consistent they've been. Grounded out another 1-0 win yesterday. So it's going to be a big ask. But look, like the comments said earlier, we play in both of them. So if we turn up, I think our worries is that we're not going to beat the smaller teams before that.
Yeah, watch us lose to sort of Rotherham next week, and then in a few weeks' time go and beat Burnley at Turf Moor. That's the problem for me. That's why I don't think we can catch the top two. I just think we're too hit and miss sometimes.
But like we spoke about earlier with Slaven and our ambitions for the league, we need to go in each game 100% to try and win. If anyone slips up, but not just that, we need to, if we do make the playoffs, we need to come in, we need to be in form, and we need to put a bit of fear factor into the other people that we're playing. And we just need to keep the club boiling up and the good atmosphere, because if it is a playoff situation, we're going to be back at Vicarage Road. It will be the first one back since that Leicester game in 2013. So we know how special that can be. So, yeah, after today, I know who knows what happened in Rotherham, but it makes you think, looking forward to the rest of the season.
100%. And I think just the last thing that we're going to speak about now on today's video, and thank you everyone for watching it. Nearly 80 viewers at the moment, which is brilliant turnout. So much easier to do these as well after a Watford win. We can talk about positive things, but something that will help us massively to go up this season will be signings. That's something that Slaven Bilic spoke about in his press conference yesterday. Charlie, do you want to tell us a bit more about what Bilic said?
Yeah, really, really interesting quotes from Andrew French after yesterday's game. Bilic got asked what transfer business he's looking to do or what he wants to do. And he said quite clearly, I think he put his hand up and he said he wants 3 signings. He wants a striker, a winger, and a midfielder, which is pretty clear on what he wants.
Slaven Bilic impression from you, Charlie.
I can't do his sexy smouldering voice, but so yeah, he's been pretty clear, and I found that interesting. What do you think about those 3 positions? Do you think that's what we need?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably, whether Bilic called it a priority or not, I thought we needed another fullback, and we've got that in Ferreira. It seems that the winger, from sort of the rumours that we're hearing, it seems that that's the one that they're mainly targeting at the moment. Obviously, Pellistri from Manchester United. Do
you think we need another winger with Martins, Sema, Sarr?
It's difficult. I think it's weird because sort of subs had a huge impact on our game yesterday and did make a massive difference for us. But I don't think it would do us any harm having that extra bit of flair on the bench as well, sort of to come on or even come into the team.
My view is, one thing I'd kind of maybe disagree with Bilic there. I think it wouldn't harm again if we could get a good quality centre half in. Bilic has been tactically versatile, playing 3 at the back at times. And we have got bodies there, but do you think our centre halves are all good enough to get us promoted?
I think the thing with the centre half situation is it's not necessary at the moment with this Watford squad. We're looking at quantity over quality just because of the injury crisis, and I think ultimately centre backs are where we've got the most depth. Whereas up front, after Keane and Davis, after that there's a huge drop off in quality because nothing against Bayo or Manai, but neither of them are sort of near the levels of Keane and Davis, and I can understand because of that why that's also being seen as a priority. But I think it would be brilliant if we could bring in another top class centre half. I just think because of the depth that we've got there, I think Craig Cathcart's good at this level. Sierralta on his day is good. Troost-Ekong on the whole, I think, has had a decent season. Aside from a few games where pretty much all the defenders have completely switched off, I just think there's other areas of the pitch that probably need a bit more depth added to them.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the profile of player that we go after and bring in or try to bring in, because when we've got the likes of Loser coming back, João Pedro coming back, Keenan Davis coming back, we're not going to get players who are better than those 3. So you're getting people in who might have to be happy to be on the bench. So you don't know if it's going to be an older player or maybe like a younger player on loan. But I definitely agree with you saying in terms of strength in depth and having the ability to change the game. So Bilic has made a clear statement about wanting 3 signings. Is he going to get them?
I'm going to say no. I think we'll probably get one more in this window. I think it would probably be a winger. It doesn't seem Pellestri's too keen on the move, particularly with Valencia linked as well. But I think we're going to go for another winger, and I think they're going to hope that because we spent 5 million on Bayo in the summer and Keenan Davis coming back in the next couple of weeks, I think they're going to hope that's enough to carry us over the line for the rest of the season. If you could bring in one player though, Charlie, I see Ian say here that like to see us chase Joel Pirro from Swansea. If you could bring in one player, who would it be?
I think off the top of my head, I tweeted it the other day. I think Nottingham Forest are looking like they're signing Danilo. They're spending 20 million on him. And a player who I really, really like, Lewis O'Brien. Really good in the Championship last season for Huddersfield. Helped them get to the playoff finals. Obviously, Forest got him. They're absolutely stacked in midfield. I think he did come on yesterday against Leicester. So they've got kind of him and Jack Cole back. But he's just a really, really good player. He's got bundles of energy getting around the pitch, good quality on the ball, Championship experience. And I think he would add a really high level to our team. But again, it's hard because if we get someone like him in of his quality, we've got Loser, Chowdhury, Kone, Kayembe, Cleverly. We've got a lot of players. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they do.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Charlie, thanks so much for joining me today. As always, we're hopefully going to be back on Wednesday for another video, hopefully with a special guest. And hopefully, you know, we're going to have some more transfer rumours to speak about then as well. I mean, things with Watford move so quickly, and every few days there just seems to be a whole load of news to speak about. We'll also be previewing the Rotherham game, which is happening next Saturday. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Charlie, thanks, mate.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone who listening. Obviously, Sam and Jacob do an amazing job and putting a lot of hours kind of bringing you this content. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of people watching this video who aren't subscribed. So make sure you subscribe, like it, leave a comment. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
perfect
exactly.
comment. So, no, thanks for having me on again, Sam.
No worries, Charlie. And we'll speak to you on Wednesday, Ben. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure to check out our socials. You can find it in the description below. Like, subscribe to WD18. We'll see you soon. Come on, you ones.